and then we're effectively back in the same situation.
Well, you're back in a
10 years.
Well, you're back in a worse situation because big telcos like the rest of us, Vodafone and Telstra, our shareholders will say, "Is this a market we want to be in? Is this a market that we can even afford to be in?" Because TelstraClear is on record. We spend $100 million every year. We spend it connecting customers. We spend it keeping a network going. And we spend it on IT systems and everything else we have to. That's CapEx, that's not our OpEx. We spend another $229 million operationally keeping the company going. The only way we can do that is to make a lot of money. This proposal, this regulation breaks that up and fragments the profit pool. Eventually something has to give. And what has to give initially is innovation. It's all the experimentation we do, because we're not making enough money. All the investment we make in systems we never use, that's the first thing. And that's both us, Vodafone, everything else. And then what next gives is, sorry guys, you can't spend that amount of CapEx because you're not making enough. So I have said to Mr Joyce, if you want a third world telco system, this is what you're going to get. Not next year, not the year after, 10 years time, 15 years time, there will be a movement of capital. It is inevitable.
It'll prevent investment in the various other services that are required, including presumably our international links.
I've just asked the Prime Minister and others to tell me, on the day he stands in front of, the lunch I attended up at Parliament and says, Julia Gillard and I are very excited. We've established a new protocol for Telecom, for business investment in New Zealand. It makes it easier for Australian companies to invest. His telco minister that afternoon went and tabled the supplementary order paper with the potential to destroy a good amount of the $2 billion of investment. If they do not believe that worldwide and in Australia, boards of companies are looking there and saying, gee, that's a risk we're not sure about, then, he's got his head screwed on wrong. It creates uncertainty for investors. So if that's what they wish to do, that's fine. That's their right to make that policy. But they look at us like they're skew and say, well, that's just hard luck. And you say, okay, well, that's fine. And when the board of Telstra says, we're going to reduce the investment in New Zealand over the next few years, Mr Joyce, that will be hard luck for New Zealand consumers. So I think there are unintended consequences. That's the issue. And I made a speech using the Basil Fawlty thing, where he hires Mr O'Reilly to put the door through to the kitchen. And of course he goes through a load-bearing wall. It's a very fine line between renovation and destruction, and this government's verging on destruction of the telco industry in New Zealand. And it's giving, and it will make, a group of companies, particularly power companies, to lead the way for telcos.
Thank you, Dr Freeth. When we come back, we'll be talking about Telstra itself.